Welcome, everyone. It's Matthew David, the Minister of Allowing. If you're out there, just give me a welcome or a hello or something, and let me know you can hear me. We are on our scheduled time, 8 o'clock Central, Sunday night, talking about the miracle formula in Psalm 23. So I'm just going to wait for everybody to get on this transmission, and then we will proceed. I'm going to get things organized while we do that. So I don't see anybody on here yet. So let's just see some of my notes here while I wait. All right. Let's see. We are live. There we go. I see a couple of you now. I see VC James and Colin. Nice to connect with you guys again. Let me know. Just put a Y up on the board if you can hear me. Just put a Y up. Let me know that we got volume. Everything's good. People got big plans this summer, so lots of stuff going on. I'm going to ease into this. All right. So Tracy Nichols, welcome. You hear me? Good. Thank you, VC James. I'm glad you can hear me. So as you guys know, Psalm 23 is not very long. It's not a very long passage, but I'm going to talk about more than that, obviously. But I also want to break it down for you. Welcome, Connie. There's a miracle formula there. There's a miracle formula. And when David, the psalmist, wrote this, you think about what is a psalm? It's a song. And why is there a song? Because we need to affect the emotional part of our bodies. We need to get it into the heart. And there is an incredible formula. And it also ties into the workshop that we're going to be doing. All new training, all new teaching, taking it deeper than you've ever been before. If you're on to my work and you're listening to me, we're going deeper down the rabbit hole in December, and we're going to get into the clandestine flow state mystic. And so what I'm going to show you is some of the leading up. I'm going to start building up between now and December. You're going to see me build up with scripture, with spiritual teaching, and I'm going to take you guys on this journey with me to become a clandestine spiritual flow state mystic. And for those people who can get to the workshop, you're going to learn the technique and the strategy of how to do it and replicate it. And if you can't make it to the workshop, I'm going to be dropping seeds. I'm going to be building it up. I'm going to be priming you to be able to make that quantum leap where you can be faster than the speed of thought. Okay. So what is a clandestine flow state mystic? It's someone who is faster than the speed of thought. Okay. So welcome, Craig. Welcome, Ann. Welcome, Tracy, Andrea. Good to see you guys here. Always good. So I want to mention a couple things before we get started. I have tomorrow night, I'm going to start a new Luxor training class. Now, this class is really kick butt. And if you've been through the first one, obviously I bring new stuff to every training I do. So as I evolve, so does my training. And so we're going to talk about this book right here and how to make a daily action plan that really rocks it. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to use this and how to use the tools of the ABC break process, the safe touch. And I'm also going to show you how to do some other surprise things I have up my sleeve. It's a 4-week online training course. If you're new to my material, it's a great place to get a live stream with me that is in depth. Get one of these books and let me transfer, like through transference, some of these habits that can take you to extraordinary achievement, because it's all about training your consciousness to walk in your spiritual authority so that you can demonstrate the kingdom that is at hand right now. The kingdom is here right now. So if you want to get in this workshop, tonight's the last night to get in live with me. So we start tomorrow night. It's $197 for the 4 weeks. Okay. There is a price because it is live. I will be doing it. I will be getting you out a book, either through the email if you're international, or in the States, I'll mail you the physical book. I'm going to walk you through every step of the process each week. Okay. And the goal is to get you conditioned, condition you for automatic and permanent prosperity. Prosperity is a state of being. Okay. So LUXUR, Luxor.space, takes the free training, and you can sign up after the free training module. When you watch the video, you'll get a little sign up bar, or if you want to do it right away, you can just text the word schism, SCHISM, to the number 608-530-6658. If you didn't understand that, just put some comments in the section below. And if you're watching this on YouTube later tonight or tomorrow and you want to get in, you know the class starts, you can just message me. Just go to my website, MatthewDavidHurtado.com, MatthewDavidHurtado.com. That's my name. And there is a box. If you ever want to message us, at the bottom of the page, there is a, message us box. You can message us live, and you'll probably get Sabrina, and she'll message with you and answer any questions you have. So that's a good way to do it. This starts tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Central. It's going to be off the chain. It's going to be great. It's always great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out this playbook, and I'm going to start with a brand new one, and I'm going to reset, and I'm going to recalibrate and just start over fresh. So for me, this is how I work it. I work in cycles. I work a 30-day program. I rest for a bit. And then I work it again for 30 days, and then I rest. It's kind of like weight training, 2 days on, 1 off, 2 days on, 1 off, something like that. That's how I work my consciousness, okay? And that's why repeating is never a bad idea, because the more you do it, the better you become at it. It gets stronger as you practice the rituals, okay? So welcome, Sanders. Welcome, Gregory. Welcome, Marisol and Jete. So awesome to see you. It really is. I've got to meet a lot of you guys in workshops, and you guys are my family, spiritual family. So this ministry is kicking it up a notch, and I really have on my heart some pretty amazing things. And to bring you guys from now till December, the course, we've gone through the ABC, we've gone through the Safe Touch, we've gone through the sets. These are fundamental techniques. I taught 6 workshops on those. I'll come back and revisit them again next year, but I taught 6 workshops to master these fundamental techniques. Now I've got the clandestine, flow state, spiritual mystic. And so I'm going to build up and start dropping material all the way from now until December. That'll get you primed, because I want you to live ahead of the speed of thought, because you are designed to live ahead of it.
Listen, there are 2 types of people in this world. People who believe they can, and people who believe they can't. I'm pretty sure you already know who I am. You see this, Mocaine. This is my secret. Probably you never heard of it, because you are swinging around your local coffee shop and congregate with the sheep. Bah, bah. What's wrong with you anyway? So what you waiting for? Go on Mocaine.com, and little Tony will ship you some little baggies, risk-free, to try out. You should be killing it. You should be living like me. You should be living like me. But you ain't, right? You're missing this. This is the secret. This is the fuel to complete your mission. I'm putting powder all over the streets. I don't want to hear any more excuses, okay? You work for me now. I want you to be my customer. Go on Mocaine.com and do the Mocaine Miracle Morning. I'm not gonna ask you again.
That's what flow state is. All right. Welcome, Shilbe. I don't know how to pronounce that. You have to help me with that. Yes, Matthew, repetition is the mother of skill. Repetitioning the mind. All right. So again, I've mentioned the Luxor training tomorrow. I've mentioned the VIP workshop. Now it's time to get into some of the downloads. So before I go into tonight's transmission, I'm going to look at my notes here. And I want to get into some of the downloads that have been coming to me because I've been spending a lot of time. I have my own little paradise here out by the beach, and it's my utopia. And I spend hours. I run and I sit with God, and God has been just pouring this new workshop into my life, this new clandestine workshop. And it's just download after download after download. And this is what God does. And then I take all this information and then I extrapolate the nuggets and put it into a protocol, into a strategy that is point-click technology so you can just use it. But I want to give you some of the downloads that are pretty interesting because I think you'll find these fascinating when you play with this consciousness. So I want to talk to you about honoring and favor. Now, as you know, I'm a big fan of sowing honor, okay? And I taught about it with my salute method. And in fact, if you want to read the book, Ask Until It Is Given, my #1 international bestseller, second book I put out, there's something called the salute method in there, SALUTE. It's an acronym. If you can master that, it is a formula for sowing honor. And when you sow honor, you get favor. And by the way, you can go to askuntilitisgiven.com, download the book for free, or you can just text the word ask to 608-530-6658. Get it downloaded on your smartphone right now. You can learn the technique for free right from the comfort of your smartphone. If you want, you can buy the book on Amazon. The book's gorgeous. It looks great in your library. I don't really care what you do, but you can learn the technique. Sow honor up, because when you sow honor, you will get favor. All right? So I want to talk to you about this moment. Since we're talking about becoming a flow state clandestine mystic, this moment right now, the space between your thoughts, okay? And I want to give you a little secret about remote viewing. You have 4 seconds before your reasoning mind kicks in and sabotages everything. So when you want to live in the state of flow, you really are going to have to prime yourself. You're going to have to learn how to live ahead of your thought. You just have to trust so deeply in order to be able to condition yourself into that now space reality that everything that comes out of you is pure flow, okay? And that is a 4-second window. You have 4 seconds until that reasoning mind kicks in and throws you out of flow state and captivates you in the middle place, sending you into the who, what, when, where, why, and how, separation from your godlike power, and putting you into the prison of the reasoning human mind. And that is the fall of man, ladies and gentlemen. That is what happened to all of the greatness on this planet. If you want to know why everything is crumbling at the core, it's because of a mathematical equation. I talked about it in the Luxor training about how the laws of mathematics, when you take a power and you divide and multiply it by itself, what happens is it has this curve. It goes out and then it comes back in. So what happens is the world of corruption will spread, and you see the rise and fall of civilizations all throughout the course of history. So what you're seeing is the rise of corruption has spread so far that it is now crumbling upon itself, and it comes back into the zero again. And so that is where we are. We are going to forefront this by bringing that consciousness onto the planet now. That consciousness is here. It's been revealing itself through many people. Eckhart Tolle has that consciousness. I've developed that consciousness. You can live ahead of your now, and you can be in a state of peace, demonstrating your peace contract claim. And when you do that, that is honor to God. So this is the moment right now that you have been waiting for your whole life to get to. This moment. So when you learn how to honor now in that 4-second window before you start thinking, you can be fully with your experience. You can do as the Beatles say, let it be, let it be, let it be, yeah, let it be. See that song? There must be an answer, let it be. You see, let it be. Do you understand that the truth has been in plain sight where you'll never see it the whole time? You never saw it that way, but I'm going to break it down to you. It's right in Psalm 23. I'm going to give you the formula. It's right here. I'm going to show it to you tonight. Now, favor flows when you sow honor. So sowing honor to God is about being in the presence of God, about trusting God, releasing the who, what, when, where, why, and how back to God, because that's his job, not yours. And when you create dishonor, you experience loss. So when you dishonor this moment by not accepting, not totally releasing yourself to what is and letting God's law of harmony present itself, you do that through animal instinct, through willpower, by the way, then you create loss or dishonor, okay? And then you're pushing against life with selfish desires, okay? And you know what that is? That's living for the self, okay? That's living for yourself. You were never created to live for yourself. See, the problem out there is they teach you to become so trained, so skilled, so efficient, so that you can live in a little compartmentalized life. You know, they teach you how to live compartmentalized in the industrial age type model where they put you on a time track. They educate you in one thing, tell you how to live from that one thing, how to provide for your own sustenance, how to go out and be a good little go-getter. It's all backwards. You need to think in terms of wholeness, that you are the wholeness itself, and that you are the source of whatever it is that you seek. You are not having to worry about getting your needs met when you become the source. And the source is this moment. And Psalm 23 has a hidden doorway in it. And I'm going to open that door for you through the gnosis, through the level of knowledge, the mystical knowledge. I'm going to drop to you tonight, and you're going to see it for your own lying eyes. All right. Now, here are some things you can practice. If you're coming to the Flow State Mystic workshop, I would like you to practice whenever you enter a new environment, whenever you go from one room to the next, whenever you enter a different segment of your moment-to-moment reality, I want you to focus on all of the subtle changes that occur in your reality. Whenever there's a change, even the most subtle thing in the environment, I want you to pay attention and train your mind to look for it. So every environment is actually a new mirror of this moment in expression, and you stay locked into this moment, and that is the expression of honor to the one power, the one mind, the one presence, laying down your human will for the will of God. Now, you're going to have to become the change that you're going to want to see in the world. So when you look around, if you see a world that is falling apart at the seams, that is the collective. And the collective is what you are here to restore. You are as Jesus. You are as the Christ. You're commanded to walk in that victory, okay? And so accepting the responsibility is going to be step number one. You're going to have to accept the responsibility that it begins with you and it ends with you. You are the source of everything that is expressed into your hologram, into your reality. So the flow is going to take you where you desire. That's what Psalm 23 is about, is that merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. You get that? You see what it's telling you in plain sight. The flow of life already has orchestrated your entire moment-to-moment reality construct. Your path is already led. Okay, that's what we talk about in Psalm 23, the word shepherd. And I'm going to get into that. Just hold on. So let's talk about wanting, because it's going to talk about wanting in there. Want equals lack. Whenever you want for something, you step into reasoning, because what you're doing is you are having a vibrational space of lack in your heart. And remember, I talked about in the Luxor training that whatever comes out of the heart sets up the magnetic field, the vibration that draws matter into your experience that you perceive through your intellectual understanding. So you have a feeling of lack or want. And then that 4-second window where you trust God, you break that connection, you step into fear, the who, what, when, where, why, and how, the 6 degrees of separation instantly triggers through all 3 kingdoms, and you are now captive. You are spellbound. You are the prisoner of Satan in a world that is fallen, and that is the law of sin and death. That is what happened in the Garden of Eden. That is what Adam did. Okay, that is the sin consciousness. We're going to talk more about that. So let's talk about this. I want to talk to you about how people are addicted. Okay, I'm going to talk about addiction itself. Now, the reason why is because what's on my heart is I had a very touching emotional experience yesterday. As a minister, I care about people and I love people. And I went to the gas station, and the owner of the gas station he said he's having a very bad day. This guy's about to retire. He's an older guy, and he looked like he saw a ghost. And he said just recently a guy died at the library. You know, a guy just died, and he's a young guy. He's probably younger than me. I happened to see that guy the day he died, by the way. He was laying there right on the side of the building, and I saw him, and I saw the people come over. I didn't know that he died, but I saw everybody come over, and it was like a big spectacle. Anyway, the guy told me at the gas station that over 100 people that were his customers in the last year alone in this little area that is actually the nicer part of this area died of drug overdose last year. 100 of them that he knows that he had on his customer list. And I'm not making this up. This isn't like, he's not exaggerating. Drugs are an addiction, as you know, but so is thinking. And so is fear and thinking are synonymous, just so you know that. And you can be addicted to this way of being. So I'm going to talk about this. And when Jesus came to the world, you know, he said in the original Gnostic text that everybody was drunk. They were all drunk. So I have something, I made up a parable, and I'm going to talk to you about, you know, being drunk. So God walks into a bar, and God says, "Who are all these people searching for?" Someone at the bar replies, "The cure for their troubles." God laughs and says, "I'll see them on the other side." Now, Jesus, again, said that all the mortals were drunk. So God literally walked into the bar. Jesus was God walking into the bar where all the drunk people are, and awaits you on the other side. And you know what that is? That other side is choosing a new attitude toward life, claiming peace now by the rest from your thought taking, putting faith in God alone. And that, by the way, is what we're going to talk about in Psalm 23 tonight. Now, let's talk about what addiction is. So addiction and getting drunk is the search for God in all the wrong places. So addiction is the result of an attitude of resistance that refuses to let go of personal responsibility. I want you to see this. You probably didn't hear this before. This is all channeled from today. Addiction is the result of an attitude of resistance that refuses to let go of personal responsibility and claiming God as the source of all survival needs. It's when you put the burden, or somebody else has taught you to put the burden on your life, which you were never, ever engineered to do. You were never engineered for your own survival needs, by the way.
Hey guys, my name is Liz, and I am one of Matthew David's coaching clients, and I want to tell you today about an experience I had this weekend with him. So he taught me the self-entrainment technique, and guys, seriously, pay attention. Raise your hand if you've read all the self-help books. Raise your hand if you've watched all the YouTube videos. Raise your hand if you've done affirmations until you're blue in the face. You've hugged the trees, you've done the grounding, you've read the scriptures, you've listened to the songs, you've done it all, and yet something is missing. Guys, this technique, I feel like it has been the missing puzzle piece that I have been looking for. Energy is everything. Energy is everything. And so sometimes I would find myself in a place of low energy, and that would last for days, weeks, and sometimes even months. And you know that when you're in a low energy level, nothing works. Nothing works. So, using this technique, I'm so excited. It teaches you how to take yourself from a low energy level to your optimal energy level within a matter of minutes. Minutes, not days, not weeks, not months, minutes. Cut. Get it over with. Seriously. This is like, I just cannot thank Matthew David enough for sharing this with me. And I beg you to pay attention, because guys, this will change your life. I'm new to this. It's only been a couple of days. I couldn't be more excited. I've seen such dramatic results already. So pay attention.
That is an aberration of your mechanical design as a spiritual offshoot of God, the image, likeness, and reflection of God. And like I was telling my colleague Matthew today, listen, it's not like, I said, what if I made love to my wife and all of a sudden a toad came out? Does that happen? No, it doesn't happen, because that's not the image and reflection of our human nature, whatever you want to call that. Well, God did not recreate itself in some form of lower than reality. Okay. You're not created lower. You're not some little peasant on this planet. That is all lies, 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 lies. You came in to the father of lies jurisdiction when you took thought for your own life. Every time you take thought for your own life, in fact, they trained you to take thought for your own life within that 4-second window, and you lost the flow and exchanged it for resistance, fear, doubt, confusion. Okay, the 5 steps to sin for memorization are fear, confusion, lack of trust, double-mindedness, and division. And that is where all addiction begins. It is the search for God in all the wrong places. It's the attitude of a resistant nature. When you refuse to let go of your personal survival needs and all of your material needs to God, because you don't trust God in your heart, because fear comes after the broken heart. So somewhere that continuity of flow state was broken, and in that space, a false idol came in, a false God, a striving or some affection for some lower than optimal state, alcohol, drugs, sex, pornography, whatever it is, it takes the place of God, and that is idol worship, and it's also putting graven images up. Now, in Romans 8:10, this is my life scripture, my passage. I want to read this to you before we get into Psalm 23. It says, if Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. Now, let me translate that to you. If Christ be in you, the body is dead because of sin. If you are God's manifestation, then you are resting from all your personal concerns over your material needs. If you claim you're God's man, then you rest from all of your concern over all your material needs, period. You see, that body, okay, the body is dead because of sin. That body, or that corpus of knowledge, is dead. Personal sensation that kicks in of personal responsibility is the fruit of the knowledge of evil, where Adam fell under the law of sin and death. Now, the spirit of life, what I talk about is flow state. The spirit of life is flow state. It's surrender, it's rest, it's trust in God, which activates faith, which is the highest form of demonstration. And faith is the only thing that produces miracles. So when you step into faith, you demonstrate miracle-producing consciousness, because you are flowing with God's power. And the only thing that exists is God's law. Because of law exists, it has to have a power to enforce it. And God's power is the only power that ever existed. So when you're in flow, you are powerful. You are full of power. Now, the spirit that is life is faster than human reasoning. It's flow state. It leaves all the responsibility to God, and it leaves it to God alone. Let me give you an example. My son, George, who is not adulterated yet, by the way, he's 12 at the age where most people become adulterated through their indoctrination public fool system. You see, he never went to that because I pulled him out so he could homeschool, so he could learn other things, so he could stay unadulterated, okay? He took his first remote viewing test today, and he aced it. First one ever, aced it. First one ever I did. About 2 weeks ago, I aced it as well, because this is your natural state of being. What is remote viewing? Remote viewing is being able to know anything by just taking some sort of blast of information, capturing it like a transceiver. You become a transceiver. You capture the information. The unconscious mind grabs it, and it uses an interface to bring it to the conscious awareness. Okay? You're born with that ability. It's the most natural thing you could ever do. The most unnatural thing you could do is what you were taught to do: how to doubt yourself, how to fear, how to not trust God. You were taught that stuff. That's what trauma does. That's what personas arise from. That's what I call schisms. So trusting God alone is the righteous man's claim against the man. Get this, here's a new word you never heard before. First time ever hearing it here. God's manifest is God's perfect manifestation. That is the life of spirit. Okay? Now, the fraudulent version, the mortal sense of self, is what I call man infestation. Okay? Man infestation. So what you see in the world right now with all of the, artificial constructs of what God created, all the sinful mortals that never were created by God, that's just an aberration of our five senses lying to us because of all the corruption that is constantly being spewed at us from the data sphere. That man infestation of mortal sin-filled reasoning, what it does is it tempts your soul. It is the tempter. And what it wants to do is it wants to come onto this emotional state so that it can break your peace contract claim that you have. And if it breaks the peace, then you move into terror. Then you're blinded by error, and you're captured in a time-bound matrix of deception. So the deceivers out there, they have captured time on the Gregorian calendar, and they deceive you by capturing you in a world of terror, a world of illusion, and their whole point is to keep that peace contract claim broken. Because when you are in the peace, in Exodus 14:14, if you remain in your peace, God will fight your battles. God will fight your battles, because the fruit of peace is the flow state mystic. Get this, the fruit of peace is the flow state, mystical state of being, where God, omniscience, is expressing itself without thought, faster than the speed of thought. And I'm going to teach you how to enter that between now and December with all this new knowledge. And when you come in December, I'm going to show you protocols so that you can speed it up and master it and get so good at it that you can turn it on at will, like I do. I can turn it on at will. I could flow for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. It is so easy because it's the natural state of being that was stolen from you the minute your heart broke and you lost your peace. Now, the way out of this, okay, now we're talking about addiction in the realm of being addicted to falling from grace. What I mean by that is breaking your flow of peace when fear tempts you in the heart, okay? The way out is to turn to the Father with a new attitude. So first, you claim your trust, okay? And a trust is a contract provision for a performance on a claim. So you're resting now in this moment. You're surrendering your will to perform an action. You're surrendering that sensation that says, I have to do something. I have to do it now. If I don't do it now, I'm so screwed. No, that is wrong. That is all wrong. That is want, lack, negative, let me push away my good programming. Okay? You're leaning on a supposed law or a power to perform a contract duty where there is no power to enforce a law. There is no power outside of God. So want, need, lack is all from the ego. It's all from persona, and there is no power to support it. So your faith in God to provide all the means of life comes from his grace, his mercy, his riches, and his glory. So the formula goes like this: thou shalt not want for any good thing means I claim peace. My peace contract in this moment demonstrates my faith, where I rest from all of my concerns over the issues of life. This act right here brings the law of adjustment, the law of God's harmony, to the surface and demonstrates it in your 5 sense reality, because all life belongs to God. I rest to receive now. Number 2, I have not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Translated means I practice stillness from a position of being void of wants, in the knowledge of the least resistance or the flow state in that 4-second gap. Because to think is to fear. To think is to fear. One more time. To think is to fear. Number 3, be still and know that I am God means that you live in the gap of that 4-second knowing. That's peace. That's your contract. Versus reasoning, doubt, worry, and fear. Again, the fall of man goes like this. That 4-second window of flow, fear comes in the heart, a schism is activated, and I go instantly into who, what, when, where, why, and how, the 6 degrees of separation. It hits all 3 of my kingdoms, and I fall from grace, and I'm in human reasoning, and the word hue comes from the coloring of the manifestation, and I call those people man infestations. They're not the manifest of God. They are an infestation of ignorance, because the only suffering on the planet is ignorance of the Father. So you stay committed to this path of least resistance and a flow state of rest, and God will guide you. We're going to get into 23 now, along the green pastures, and his goodness will reflect itself in your life experience. And then you shall know what it means when I say more of God and less of me. So let's talk about Psalm 23. So tell me what you thought about that part first before I get going. I'm going to shut down my flow state, and I'm going to relax, and I'm going to let your responses come up here. So let me say hi to some of you that are on here. Dawn, welcome. Julian, Melinda, Randy, Susan, Randy Part, Bruce, Sergio.
Hello, I'm Julie with Allow Ministries on behalf of Matthew David Hurtado. Are you ready to end self-sabotage, procrastination, and distraction? Clarity, certainty, and a proven plan of action is what it takes to get anything you want in life. Training is the answer. Matthew David Hurtado's Spiritual Millionaire Workshop is the one-step solution that finally puts you in control of your destiny. What Matthew discovered about building a 7-figure business and perfect well-being when he was bedridden and bankrupt with Lyme disease is that mentorship is success without the wait. It works. At allowuniversity.com, you'll discover how to walk in victory. Learn how to prosper in every area with unstoppable daily habits and a step-by-step training to build your dream business immediately following the event, a success training for a lifetime of achievement. Walk in financial increase, living a life you love. Go to allowuniversity.com and say yes to your destiny.
Amy, Sabrina, Tajal, Cameron, Tyrus. So good to have you guys. What'd you guys think about that last segment? Before I get into the final segment, what'd you think about all those seeds I dropped? Give me some comments. I'll read them back to you, and then I'm going to go back into flow, and I'm going to read Psalm 23 from my official Minister of Allowing King James Version Bible. All right. Now, here's an opportunity for you guys. If you guys want to get your own customized embroidered Bibles, you can reach out. Just go to MatthewDavidHurtado.com like you would if you're going to learn the 3-2-1 prosperity formula, which I recommend you rinse and repeat and master if you like prosperity. Message Sabrina down on the bottom where it says message us and say, hey, how do I get one of these? Customize Bible. And we can interact with you and set you up to pick out a Bible. There's a Christian bookstore where they can customize your name, whatever you want, on a Bible for you. And what God told me is make it official. This right here is your word of God. This is your food that you need to feast on for your consciousness. You need the word of God. Why not put your name on it? Why not make it official? Why not make it symbolic? See? Make it official. If you want to, just reach out, let us know. We'll do that service for you. We'll help you out. So Sergio says, wow. Ann says, great stuff. Beth, welcome, Beth. Tijal, great stuff. Tracy says, I need to practice stillness and realize to think is to have fear. Thanks for the nuggets. It sounds so easy, but it's hard to keep the peace. Exactly. Well, knowledge is the first part, and then training is the next part. You see, I've been training at this for quite a while. I'm going to teach on this in December. I'm going to teach you my protocol, my technique on how to repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill. Just like I teach self-entrainment technique or ABC, I give you a skill set, a strategy, and you repeat it, and then it gets more powerful, more powerful, more powerful, and then bam, all of a sudden it just becomes a habit, and habits become destiny. Okay, so let's see. Amy says, on point, resonate with a lot. Good. Matthew Sanders says, God created us in his image. God is infinite and wants us to prosper. Thanks for reminding us of this truth. Good. Connie says, amazing. I think this is exactly what I need to hear to make an important decision. And Bobby says, only suffering is ignorance of the Father. Yes, absolutely. All right, so good comments. I'm going to have a little bit of this, and we'll get into Psalm 23. I love Psalm 23 because once you see it this way, this is the first time, I promise you, probably ever seen it this way. When you see it this way, and God will reveal things to you too through the word, okay? Especially when you're in the flow state, God will speak to you through this. This is important, okay? You're going to be able to tap into this consciousness at will. Sergio says, can you define God? Yes, but not tonight. Marisol says, I love God's wisdom. Me too. And Shelby says, how do you not go into thinking when you have to run a business? It requires a lot of thinking. Well, I would suggest that it requires strategy. Obviously, it requires some thinking, but your best ideas are not going to come from what you already know, because if you already knew those ideas, you'd already have what you're trying to get. If you're trying to grow your business and you haven't grown your business, it's because you don't have what you don't have, because you don't know what you don't know. Okay, well, how are you going to get to know what you don't know if you don't allow yourself some space between you and your thinking for something new to come in? So just sit with that for a while, and then therein lies the mystery of what you asked me. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's go down the rabbit hole, and let's talk about Psalm 23, all right? So we start out with the Lord is my shepherd. Now, this is important, the title of this. Now, the number of this is important. Psalm 23. 23 is the Masonic number of death and rebirth. Now, we're not talking about, you falling into a grave 6 feet under and then rising up and all of a sudden you're back, okay? I'm talking about the death of your old way of being, the death of your old self, and the resurrection of you in a new consciousness, a new understanding of reality. So the Lord is my shepherd. Well, a shepherd is a guide. So the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Verse 1, translated, I stay in the 4-second gap between trust and fear. And fear is synonymous with thinking and wanting. Fear, thinking, fear is thinking. So I stay ahead of thought in the realm of peace and trust. Now, a shepherd guides us along our path. So our trust in God is what confirms to God that he is the shepherd. If God is the shepherd, then you can stay in the flow and trust, because God doeth all things. Not you, God. Verse number 2, he taketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Translated, God wants me to rest in his care and be led by his peace. You have a peace contract claim with God. If you don't know that, listen to some of my last several recordings. This peace contract claim is when you hold the peace in your heart and it demonstrates your trust in God. It also drops all forms of judgment. And when you drop judgment, ideas of right, wrong, good, bad, big, small, etc., you enter your peace contract claim, pure awareness, and that is God's kingdom of heaven as you surrender your will for the will of God. So the moment you trust and rest all of your plans, all of your ideas, all of your opinions on what you think is happening for his leadership, then you've got this. Then his law of harmony comes in because of your faith. Because of your faith. Like Kenneth Copeland says, you are supposed to live from faith to faith. And you better believe that man has faith. Now, number 3, he restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Now, translated, your soul is your emotional state of resonance. Okay? Your emotional state of resonance. So as I trust and I claim my peace contract with God by resting now from all of my plans, my existence, fears, and worries, then God examines my heart. God is always examining your heart. God doesn't see people as we see them. God sees the heart. So as I rest now from all of these fears and worries and doubts and plans and schemes, etc., God examines my heart and fills it with his harmony. So he restoreth my soul. God brings his peace into this place right here that sets up the magnetic field that creates the frequency vibration that I am on. If you want to be in the kingdom of heaven, it is a vibrational frequency of him connecting with you. And that is the secret of God restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So God lays out the details. When we live in that gap before thinking kicks in the flow state, the law of the spirit of life is where we are. Because of righteousness means that God's law of harmony in that gap, in the window of our trust, when we let go, resting from all of our worries, cares, concerns, and fears, keeps us in the law of spirit, because God is a spirit. Now, the opposite of this, and I think it's worth mentioning, is taking thought by feeling a sensation of worry, concern, fear, or doubt, instantly going into your head saying who, what, when, where, why, and how, human reasoning, that kicks in with fear at the same time. That's sin consciousness. That's the law of sin and death. That puts you immediately under a curse. That's mortal reasoning. And Rhea in Sun is parsed out as Rhea, the guilty mind, and Sun is the descendant of a guilty mind. So the belief in life as you, as an individual persona, subjected to the opinions of men for your own existence and having to fight with the world of competition and go out and get yours, those are all mortal reasoning, and those are the opposite of being in the flow state. Now, verse number 4 says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Translated, the valley of the shadow of death, as my lying eyes perceive a world of form, filled with competition and opinions of lack, limitation, function of personal will, etc. I recognize this as the dead space where human thought kicks in, and I notice the sensation that I have to take action for my own volition of reasoning based on the idea that I have to take care of my own existence as a principle of my own responsibility. That is error. So to fear no evil means that I cease from taking thought for my own life. Thou art with me. God's law of harmony is here right now. The only power is here right now. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me, means God leads me by the way of his power, his law, his might. This comforts me because it means that the battle is God's, not mine. Get this, the battle is not yours. It is God's. His power, not yours. And God's power to prosper is certain victory for you. Now, verse 5, thou prepares a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anoints my head with oil, my cup hath run over. Translated, mine enemies are the thoughts of men that seek to tempt me in the human reasoning error. Fear is the hallmark signature of these thoughts. So God is saying that I may feast on the goodness of life when he's leading me in my now space by the trust, faith that I activate in my peace contract claim with him. When I stay in my peace, I trust God. I call God the only power, the only presence, the only mind. Praise you, Lord. Praise you, Father. Hallelujah. Look at some of the most prosperous people on this planet. Praise you, God. Prosperous. In the now. Trusting God. Believing what he says. Trust me. This brings your life into alignment with his will. And when you get into alignment with his will, you better watch out because your cuppeth will overflow. So when I'm resting from worrying about who, what, when, where, why, and how, those are my enemies. Your enemies are your thoughts of who, what, when, where, why, and how, because that is how you are falling from grace. Those are your enemies because thoughts are things and things are thoughts. So when you experience a problem, you're experiencing a thought, and your reasoning is holding that problem in front of your lying eyes. Now, that is ignorance of the Father. Do you get it? So I am filled with God's Spirit and his power, his guidance, his direction, his thoughts, his expression of divine love. That's my cup. It's filled with him. It's not my mortal sensation of having to take personal responsibility for all of the needs of my life. That is where you break your heart, and that is when fear enters, and that's when you enter the law of sin and death. And it happens in 4 seconds. It happens within 4 seconds. I have no ability to respond, and I have no law or power to exert any performance of any law as a mortal, because there's no fact of life in mortal reality. That's fiction. It's temporal. It's illusion. It's unreal. God is a spirit. You never had a human life because you're the image and likeness and reflection of God. Therefore, you don't have to take mortal reasoning at all because you were never required to do any of that. So number 6 says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So translated, God is the only power, the only mind, the only life. Good is synonymous with God. Good is the source. So trusting now in good is the secret sauce for the kingdom living in the midst of the dead. Those are the erring, reasoning, empty-headed fools all around you, because nothing has changed since the time of Jesus. And Jesus said even the most wise people on the planet when he came were empty-headed fools. Because once that 4 seconds kicks in and you take reasoning thought, you are in resistance, you are in fear, you are under the law of sin and death, you have broken the flow state. God is way beyond any of those empty-headed thoughts that come in to try to reason their way through life. So the opposite of this is willpower, in the way that humans use willpower. Willpower is an animal propensity. Willpower is only supposed to be used to create a habit that conditions into a destiny by repeating the habit unconsciously. See, what we think willpower is when we reason for our life. We think that if we just think harder, I just need to think harder. If you think harder, it's going to help. I'm sorry, but if you think harder, you're actually ruining the whole thing. You're destroying it. You can't get there from there. That's what Einstein discovered. I think 1,000 times, and then I stop thinking and I know. He's telling you right there what he discovered. This is the secret. The secret is that you're the image and likeness of God. You were never designed to take thought for your life. So stop taking thought for your life and start learning to trust in your heart. And the activation secret is to trust God with your most prized possessions. Learn the 3-2-1, because you learn how to surrender up your habit of clinging to money, which is your anchor to the material consciousness, because money's the god of this world. And so when you learn how to break that covenant with Satan, you learn how to trust God and live in the flow, and God becomes more manifest through you, and God will give you ideas to capture all the money you ever need, and your cuppeth will overflow. And you learn how to do the number 2, where you drop all your reasoning and all your judgments. Then you'll learn how to flow as a clandestine spiritual mystic. Nobody can see what power you're using, but all around you, the fruits will demonstrate themselves as you demonstrate miracle after miracle after miracle. Just like I did when I got over Lyme disease, demonstrated 6 and 7 figures. And all of these things, these are nothing more than what Jesus came to teach. That is it. This isn't Matthew David Hurtado trying to teach you a line of rubbish. I'm saying this is the kingdom. It's here right now. It's available to anyone who wants it. So do you want it? Then stop thinking and start knowing. That's the point. Now, mortals use willpower for reasoning, and they aim their opinions on what's happening, and they cloud their now space with judgments. And those are debts. Remember, forgive us of our debts as we forgive those who have sinned against us in the Lord's Prayer. See, that's reasoning. That's error. It steals the flow, the currency of life. It robs you. It sets up graven images. It puts other gods before God, breaking the first commandment Moses gave. And it also breaks the second commandment because it puts graven images up there, because you're judging what's happening, not even seeing the fact. Don't look to the world, because the world isn't there. Man, this is mind-blowing, because your mind is drunk. Okay, so that was the transmission. I'm shutting down flow state. I am complete with this mission. So tell me what you thought about the transmission tonight, and put your questions up and I'll answer them quick. So let's see what you guys wrote. So Jonathan says, sorry for being late, and Crystal says joined. So what did you guys think? Did you guys like that interpretation? Are you going to be able to like marinate on these seeds? You remember, knowledge has inherent organizing power. So as I drop this knowledge on you, it organizes itself in your consciousness and it becomes part of you. See, you can never unknow something that your mind has been stretched to know. And in fact, I'm trying to get past your mind so that you can live ahead of it. And that's how everything wonderful that's ever came into my life happens, is it happens in the flow. It's all flow state. So let's see what you guys are writing down here. Tyra says, Matt, you're amazing. Thank you, Tyrus, as are you. Sergio says, meditation. Well, what is meditation doing? It's trying to teach you how to still your mind. Why do you want to still your mind? Because it's a beast. It's the mark of the beast. So chill out, because God's mind is the only mind. So when you think you have a personal mind, you got a problem on your hands, because now you think that you exist outside of God. That is error. And whenever you start with error, you always end with error. That's the whole thing. So Irina says, I love it. Awesome. Milana just got here. Tony says, yes, awesome, good. Marisol, transmission was right on its mission. Awesome. Thank you, Marisol. You know, see, that's the part about flow, is that I want to give you a little secret, okay? As you start to learn how to walk in your knowing and flow, it is probably the most terrifying few minutes of your life, because you are surrendering you to a higher power. And the ego absolutely is going to get frantic until, see, the reason why I'm so passionate, I built my whole ministry on the 3-2-1 that I teach at my website, again, MatthewDavidHurtado.com, is because my survival needs were all tied into needing to have money when I was dying with Lyme disease, right? So as I was in that state of constant and perpetual fear, breaking the peace contract with my father, having to be on my own because I set it up that way under the law of sin and death, the prove me now part of the Bible, the only part of the Bible that says prove me now, Malachi 3:10, I said, screw it. What I got to lose? Started tithing. Boom. God started demonstrating that this wasn't it. This didn't know jack. And for the last 17 years or however long it's been, I keep getting astounded because things happen and they are never according to the plans of this thing right here. But after doing it over a period of time, I knew, well, gosh, God never fails. So I can completely lay my whole life down to God. And I did it through non-judgment and through holding the stillness and just letting go. Once you're able to just let it all go, it just flows right through you. It's just boom, it just happens. So if you got to go sit on a picnic bench like Eckhart Tolle did, or a park bench, then go sit on a park bench. That's a long process to do it. There are faster ways to do it. And hopefully, if you come to this December workshop, I'll show you other ways to do it.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I attended Matthew's workshop because I wanted to use the law of attraction, and I wanted to learn how to increase my vibration and use the law of attraction to create an online business and bring more income into my life. And through the weekend, I learned how to let go of beliefs and karma. And then the self-entrainment technique allowed me to step into this world, to show up as the person that I want to be. And this has kicked off an amazing transformative process in my life. It has transformed every facet of my life. It has been a rapid, high-speed journey of personal development and growth that, to me, is worth more than any amount of cash whatsoever. However, having taken that journey, I have now come to the point where, as we speak, I am launching a new online business. In fact, I'm launching 2 brand new online businesses, and I feel absolutely positive that they're going to succeed and that life is going to move forward. And so this workshop has enabled me to come to the place personally where I could actually step out in power instead of being timid, and present value to the world, and also to allow that value to flow back to me because I no longer have those blockages in my life. So, Matthew, thank you so much for the workshop.
And along the way, it's not like I'm going to wait till December to give you this. I'm starting to drop seeds now because I want you to start heading in that direction, because that is the solution to what you see on the planet right now. When you look around the planet and you say, what do I do? What can I do? What can little old me do? Well, little old you can go bye-bye, and you can just surrender to the one power, the one mind, the one presence, and letting go of that brings power to the planet. So let go of you and let God come through and bring power to the planet. And what happens is one person raising consciousness will raise up hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, even millions of people with them. And that's what you can do, because you are the savior of the world. Ironic as it sounds, yes, it's you. So Shay just joined. Welcome, Shay. Tajal says, that was great. Thank you. Randy says, thanks. Best transmission ever. Flow in sports, automatic, having fun. Expecting to see you. Got it. Bobby says, so wise. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Milana's was here the whole time. She just goes in and out, I guess, huh? You missed computer glitch, maybe. So Melinda says, thank you for this wisdom. This helps me tremendously understand Psalm 23, which I wanted to know what it meant. All right. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. Okay. So Milana, somehow I got to that state. Yeah. And Milana, look how it's been going for you when you're in that state. Things happen for you. So simply in that state, because it's no longer you. Now it's God doing it. And when God does it, there is a law that has power to enforce it. See? When you think you're doing it, you have no power. Your mortal sense of self is a wooden doll. Okay, that's when Jesus was up above himself when he's dying laughing, because he's like, they just killed a wooden doll. Okay, you are not a mortal. I'm sorry, you are not a mortal. The God does not go from perfection to imperfection. I'm sorry, that does not happen. God does not go from incorruptible to corruption. That is the world of terror and ignorance. You are one with the Father. You are the child of the Most High. So get over yourself, quite literally, and stay in that gap, knowing that that Father is so wise, so beyond what your human reasoning can even comprehend, that you don't have to take thought for your life ever again. You can surrender you safely and peacefully. Because when you do, then the good stuff starts happening. That's when the good stuff starts happening. Welcome, Angel. And Tracy says, thank you. Thank you. Connie says, love this 4-second gap to remember it always. Yep, that's true. And Sergio, meditation and the bench sound great, but then you go out to the world. Yes, but you go out to the world and you let go of your judgments. See, the world isn't out there. It's not there. The world isn't there. Imagine that. The world isn't there. So what do? You hold the peace in your heart. That's knowing. Peace in your heart. If you hold the peace, you're demonstrating faith in God, knowing that God is all there is. If God is all there is, then you don't have to worry about anything. You just stay in the peace constantly. Peace. Bomb goes off down the street and everybody's blowing up. You stay in the peace and you'll be the only one walking out of there alive. Okay. I'm just telling you, people have crashed in planes. Some of these ministers I've studied, I think Jesse Duplantis went down like twice or 3 times in a plane crash, and he held the peace, and he knew God was all in all, and he walked out of them. So what I'm saying is, this is a contract, and God honors the contract every single time. God is not capable of breaching a contract because God is incorruptible. Men, what I call the man infestations, are corruptible. So that's why I don't believe men ever what they say. I always flow and let God do his thing. Let God do the God thing. All right. Meditation. All right. So Beverly just joined. Welcome, Beverly. You've been here. Anyway, guys, we are at the top of the hour. So I'm going to sign off now. Hopefully you guys love this. And look at that. It says 23 people watching right now. It's mystic. It's magic. 23, Psalm 23. On that note, take care, guys. God bless. Love you.